Okay, world, I have something to admit to you. This is Tina. She and I went on so many different adventures. She has no arms left. Her foam rubber is torn. Her roar mechanic stopped working a long time ago. I still love her. So when I talk about how much Jurassic Park meant to me as a kid, keep this in mind. I scared at least one babysitter out of our house with this thing. Not this thing. Tina is not a thing. She is my friend. This is Gigi. She's my other friend. When I was 8 years old, my parents took me to see a display of the animatronics they had used in Jurassic Park that was at Universal Studios. It was my first time ever going to Universal Studios, and I remember I was excited because they were actually taking the animatronics down on my birthday. And so I got to go early as a birthday present so that I would get to see them. And the lady whose job it was to know about velociraptors, because she was handling the egg with the animatronic velociraptor in it, and I got to hold the egg while the puppet moved around, and it was great. And I was 7, and I could tell her what the words velociraptor meant. It means swift robber, by the way. And yeah. No, one of my proudest moments in childhood was being able to kind of talk her off the stage with all of my dinosaur knowledge. I still have, by the way, the top to the commemorative beverage container that they gave away then. It says Jurassic Park on the back. So this is where I come from when I'm talking about Jurassic Park. It is something that probably changed my DNA. It was hugely important to me as a kid. So basically, this is where I'm coming from when I say Jurassic World, fuck you. I'll be that person who couldn't stand Jurassic World. I will. I don't want to be, but I mean, I had such high hopes. I heard they were bringing back the T-Rex, the original T-Rex from the first movie, and this is what I get. Jurassic World, I damn you with your own mediocrity. You are mediocre. The best thing anyone can say about your script is that it's functional. It is extremely functional as a script, and that is just not good enough. The characters are dull. The Indian guy, by the way, the Indian businessman, is clearly playing the role that John Hammond would have had if Richard Attenborough had lived to shoot it. But John Hammond was always the heart of Jurassic Park. He deserves better than a few passing mentions of his passing. He really does. The kids are meh, the villains are meh, Bryce Dallas Howard is at the center of the most sexist plotline, a determined career woman who realizes that what she really needs to be happy is a man and some kids to take care of. God, Dr. Sattler, we miss you and we want you back. The only characters I cared about, basically, Chris Pratt, because he's Chris Pratt, and Dr. Wu. Even as a kid, I always wondered what had happened to Dr. Wu. Dr. Wu got a big intro in the lab when the velociraptors hatched, and then he just kind of disappeared from the movie. I mean, I assumed that he evacuated when they evacuated the island. I mean, there's no reason that they're shutting the lab down. They don't need him anymore. But I don't know. It was good to see him back. I cared about him. Less thrilled about the fact that he turns out to kind of be behind the whole evil gene splicey dealy. I don't know. We don't see enough of him in this movie for me to really say anything about that. But yeah, good to see you. Good that somebody came back. Thank you, BD Wong. The rest of these people can just go die. Please just go away and stop stop taking precious, precious screen time away from the dinosaurs. I don't care about you, I do care about them. Seriously, the only characters I really liked in this movie all were dinosaurs. Especially the evil one, the Indominus Rex. I mean, when you think about it, she's had a really sucky life. Chris Pratt points it out very briefly. I know his character has a name, Owen, whatever. Chris Pratt points out that her life kind of sucks. I mean, she's raised in a box, she's all by herself. She gets fed from a crane. She's cripplingly lonely. She comes up with a plan to escape and see the world, and she's exploring, and she discovers she has all of these amazing new abilities that she didn't know she had. And she even finds a new family group. For a while, everything is great for her. She seems to be happy for the first time in her miserable life. And then everything goes to shit because of these stupid, cruel, selfish humans. Seriously, just eat all of these fuckers. It's all they are good for. And then there's the raptors. I'm not gonna lie, they look terrible. They look really bad in this film. They're like these really unrendered CGI puppet things, and I never once believed that there were any raptors anywhere near any of the actors. I mean, you can shrink from a tennis ball all you want. We know the difference. The CGI was such shit in this movie. This I say as somebody who's studying CGI. I have done my share of rendering, and those dinos looked bad. They looked fake. I have seen better graphics on my PlayStation 3. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I said it. Sorry, everybody's making excuses for the crap CGI in this film, and I won't have it. I will say, those dinosaurs looked fake. All of them. There was never a moment when I didn't know that I was looking at a CGI puppet. Except for the apatosaur. That scene made me cry. God, but that apatosaur just broke my heart. That apatosaur was so sad. That was the one emotional moment in the movie for me, was watching that animal die. The death of the apatosaur. If there had been more of that in the film, I don't even know what kind of wreck I'd be right now. I'm studying CGI. I'm not one of those people who just hate CGI because it's CGI, but the scene with the apatosaur was so emotional, and I legitimately believed that it was there, that these people had to watch this innocent creature die, and it meant something. And I teared up in the middle of the theater. See, why did that feel real, and all of this, like, mayhem, like the death of that British assistant, why didn't that bother me this much? Well, one, it's because it was a human, and humans. Wow! Did I not care about anything else that happened in the movie. But back to the velociraptors. Yeah, they looked fake. They looked really bad. But, you know, at least they had something resembling a character arc, because they kind of had to struggle with themselves about whether they wanted to be on Chris Pratt's side or be on the side of the other dinosaurs. And there was some tension there, and I liked that. And I liked that one of them, in kind of perfect timing, shows up to kill a villain exactly when it is most karmically convenient for that particular villain to die in that particular way. These raptors are supposed to have this really intense emotional connection to Chris Pratt because he's raised them from birth and he has trained them and they view him kind of as one of their own. But then several of them die in front of him and he doesn't react. He's supposed to be the one who cares about these animals as living creatures, and yet he will watch them die. One of them actually turns on her own kind just so she can stick up for him, is immediately, like, smacked down for it, and he has no emotional reaction whatsoever. Remember, if you have a Y chromosome, you're not allowed to show emotions. You're not allowed to have, like, grief or an attachment to an animal that you have raised from a baby who means something to you, who has just tried to stick up for you. Caring about things is what girls do. And I don't even really blame Chris Pratt for that. I know there's only so much you can do when you're acting opposite a tennis ball. There's even, like, these raptor head cages where the raptors get imprisoned, and then people go up to them and, like, touch them, and it's very clear that they're just, like, petting the air, and there's nothing really there. There's no raptors in this movie, like none at all. And that sucks because if you view it from the other side, where it's an animated movie that just happens to have sequences of humans in it, then Blue, I'd say, is the actual hero of the movie. True fact, I was 9 years old, and my imaginary friend was a velociraptor named Crimson. And now here's a raptor named Blue. And Blue is the leader of the pack, and she's very loyal, and she's brave, and she's resourceful, and she is everything none of the human characters get to be. And she gets totally shafted. Chris Pratt is being threatened by the I-Rex. Blue turns around to face down the I-Rex for him, gets immediately smacked down for it. Chris Pratt doesn't care. And I'm like, fuck you, Chris Pratt. I am a very bad person. I care more about these fake dinosaurs than I do about the fake people. And that's really sad. I mean, I cannot emphasize enough how fake all the CGI looked. Please stop doing this to my childhood movies. Please, just no more. The only way I'm buying a sequel is if it turns out to all be about Blue's struggles as a single raptor alone in the wilderness, and her only friend is an ornery old T-Rex who's just getting too old for this shit. Just like, oh. And she keeps talking about retiring and opening a beach bar somewhere, and everybody knows she's never gonna do it because she loves the life too much. Small but important detail, by the way. One of the most important gifts I ever received as a kid was the John Williams Jurassic Park soundtrack. I listened to that thing over and over and over again, and it tided me over until it came out on VHS, which I then watched, I think, a grand total of some 300 times. And of course, bits of that John Williams theme are in this movie, but they are not used properly. I mean, that's a scene for the splendor of dinosaurs. It's not for the splendor of buildings. Finding your hotel room. Stop it. Remember that amazing scene from the first movie that we all loved that was the objects in the mirror may be closer than they appear scene? Remember that? This movie does that twice, but it forgets the objects in the mirror may be closer than they appear writing, which is missing the entire point of the gag. Please just stop, movie, please. You're making me ashamed to have shaped my entire childhood around dinosaurs. And basically, if you walk out of a film and your first reaction is, I really want to go see a different, better film, not good. And the best thing you can say is like, well, it's stupid, but it's fun. The action in this movie is so uninspired. There's basically nothing new about it. The only time it seems to be good is when it is flat out repeating action beats from the first film. The whole thing with the I-Rex and the ballisphere, the ball that you saw in all the trailers, almost beat for beat exactly the same as the T-Rex with the car from the first movie, except not nearly as good, not nearly as convincing, because even the seat belts are CGI in at least one scene. And again, I'm not one of those people who hate CGI. I just hate bad CGI. I hate obvious CGI. And this was so PlayStation 4 quality graphics. Please, just don't. Don't do it. We've reached that point. We can tell. Movie, you could be good. There was a good movie in you somewhere. Where was it? What went wrong? The action was uninspired. The score was misused. I think that the longer this stays in theaters, the more the reviews are probably going to tip from mixed towards negative. I think it's going to be sort of a Crystal Skull kind of situation. Watch, I'm going to be proven entirely wrong by that. But I think that people who love it are loving it because of the nostalgia goggles and not because of the actual quality of the film. That's just my working theory. We'll have to see what happens, but I think that's it. The one awesome thing in the movie, they brought back the original T-Rex, and they made a point of saying that it was the original T-Rex, like the same one that ate the goat and destroyed the car and saved the day at the end of the first Jurassic Park movie. This is her. She is awesome in this film. She looks as fake as all the other dinosaurs do, but it's great that it was her. Beginning to the end, she is a great character. And I just loved that at the end she just kind of takes a look at the mayhem and just kind of shrugs and heads off back into the wilderness. She's just like, I am too old for this shit. Best scene in the film. Long live the Queen. So yeah, I didn't like Jurassic World. I'm sorry, I'll be that person. I didn't like it. Do better next time.